frame rate of reality, shifting billions of times per second, but then also the idea of infinite versions of reality. Does that mean each individual one of those billion frames per second, there is an infinite amount of those individual frames, such as for me, let's say that this here is a frame, but at the same time there is an infinite number of frames of my own version of the Earth reality. Obviously, like there will be 8 billion people experiencing their individual frame, but then there's also the frames of perception from like the trees and the plants, the fishes, the animals, etc. Or is it more so that from my perspective there is the infinite frames, but then from other people they don't exist within my frame until I observe them? Thank you for answering my question. Good day.
Yes, to a degree, but understand that even though there are infinite frames in all the directions that you mentioned, not all of them are relevant for your particular timeline experience. So while they all exist, you only experience a finite number of them in any given lifetime or timeline. And you only experience those who have frames that, as you say, you are willing to observe, willing to interact with. You create similar frames that allow you the experience of interaction, even though you're not actually in the same frame. All right, good day, good day.
Good day, my friend. Oh, so exciting to see you again. All my love. Bashar, I've heard it described by the channel, what was it? Niagara Falls through a garden hose. Acting on the formula, that last part, remaining in a positive state no matter what happens. I've noticed there's some physical feelings I get. What is this? Certain things are dissolving, and physically speaking, I'm feeling like almost like a cobweb on my face, some certain things. Is this natural?
It can be one of the effects of allowing your neurological net to realign itself and be upgraded to receive higher frequency energies. You will get used to it.
Okay. Very good, very good. And and I think that's pretty much about it. With that, thank you very much. All my love, and all my love to everyone else.
Our unconditional love to you as well. Aveo.
Aveo.
Hello, Bashar. This is Erin from Toronto. I had a question about genetics. My question is, I am Caucasian and my husband is Persian, and we just assumed that the dominant genes would be his since he has black hair and brown eyes and dark skin, that our child would look like him. But my son looks exactly like my dad, like to the degree to which my dad showed me a photo of himself as a baby and it was identical to my son. And I wondered, is this a choice made by the child themselves? Does this have to do with their DNA or their life choices? Is it that they're trying to align more to my familial lineage, or is it just genes? Does it just happen the way it happens? I feel like there's more significance here. I would just like to have a bit better understanding. Thank you so much.
It's all of the above. The spirit will choose the genetic makeup that will serve the life path best. So therefore, it can be an expression of what will work for the spirit in this particular lifetime, and therefore they choose the genes that will be arranged in such a way as to allow them the expression and the idea of the, one moment, strongest connection to the future hybrids possible.
Good day. Hi, Bashar. And I'm very grateful for this interaction.
All right, please speak up.
Yes. I've always felt very disconnected and overwhelmed, in this world since I was very young. And I started for a very young age, questioning, look for the sense of existence. Like many others here, I have a long story of pain, suffering, search, learning, and healing to try to connect with God or enlightenment, if we can say this word. So 13 years ago, I found you. Sorry, and I've been following the formula, practice it along with other remission sleeps. And a couple of years ago, I finally found some clarity, peace, healing, purpose, my mission, when I then decided to go back to South America and work in communities. And I took then one of my sons. And 6 months later, he passed away unexpectedly. So I felt lost, disconnected, like I went backwards again. So my question is related to, at the moment, I don't need anything. I don't want to manifest anything. My question is actually, how can we end the suffering of our minds and be one with God?
By understanding that you have lost nothing but gained everything. These things happen by agreements. The timing of your son's passing is something that can actually aid and assist you in stretching your mind towards spirit by reaching out to him, by connecting to him more strongly, and not feeling it as a loss, but feeling it as an expansion. For you exist in spirit alongside him as well, eternally. So if you begin to rearrange your point of view and understand that you are there with him and that he is always with you, then you can expand your understanding, not feel it as a sense of loss, and move forward with purpose.
So your opinion, is grief a form of attachment?
It is to some degree an attachment to the idea that you have lost something, that something is missing from your life. Now, we understand that a brief amount of it can be healthy for you to let go of that idea, but the longer you hold on to grief, it actually prevents the spirit from reaching out and communicating with you. Because the idea is that when they attempt to do so, it will remind you of them, and as long as you remember them through the idea of loss, you will always feel the connection as more grief, rather than opening up to the idea that it is a communication coming from them.
And is anything we could say to help me in this process?
I have just given you the understanding. Listen once again. You have to understand that anytime you feel grief, it may be representative of an attempt by your son's spirit to communicate to you. But as long as you look at the idea of his death as a loss, you will experience the communication as grief, instead of opening up to the idea that he is attempting to help you by stretching your consciousness and retraining your consciousness to focus on him in spirit.
Okay, thank you. If I have made another question in relation to the ascended masters, how can they help us as an individual or collectively? Should we follow their guidance, or can we connect it spiritually with them?
All ascended masters can be connected to. Anytime that you feel a connection to them, think of them, you are connecting to their frequency. But all ascended masters are basically telling you the same message. It is not about following them. It is about understanding that you have the same potential as they do, to be like them, to know that you are like them, to realize your full potential. So the idea is that they act as reflections of what you can achieve. They act as reminders of the power that you have within you. So if you take it to heart and understand that they're simply showing you what you can also be, then again, you can move forward with purpose and passion.
If I may, another question. So is it true that people are really channeling them as well?
Sometimes you have to have the discernment to tell the difference when it may be a true channeling or when it may simply be an aspect of the channel's own consciousness, which sometimes can still be positive. But you have to have the discernment to know the difference between when it is connecting to a different being, an ascended master, a spirit guide, an extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional source, or when it may simply be something that represents the channel's aspect of a different aspect of their own personality. The idea fundamentally is, if the information is positive, constructive, self-empowering, then it doesn't really matter where it comes from, as long as it benefits you in your life and allows you the opportunity to exercise your free will to be who you are. If it is in any way, shape, or form controlling or restrictive in that sense, then it is obviously, more often than not, an aspect of the channel's personality that they have yet to integrate within themselves.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bashar.
You are so welcome. Aveo.
Aveo, thank you.
Is this person is asking, I believe you've mentioned that we will not be able to see the other train tracks somewhere around the year 2050. As there is a high probability of having a mass contact event between 2026 and 2027, how will the realities who do not experience contact perceive this event? Will they look back on this instance in a similar way we look back on the Roswell event, very much in denial?
It depends on the person. There is still an opportunity in the upcoming events to have a particular perspective of it, or no perspective at all, not even knowing that it's happening. There is still the possibility of a range of reactions to it, because you are still seeing other people's choices. So for a while, different people will respond or react in different ways, or not even be aware that it's happening. These things will start slowly, in phases, subtly, and not everyone on your planet may even be aware that it's occurring. But the different reactions from those that become aware of it may also exhibit a wide range, from acceptance to disbelief to total non-acceptance. So again, there is still time for people to make choices about how they relate to the idea of open contact, and you will see a number of different reactions and responses to any particular UFO events or contact events for a few years to come.
Okay. This person says, I was wondering if the first major contact event will happen in dream form. I feel like more people would be open to the idea that since they are in a dream state. I'm aware that a lot of people are already making contact while dreaming and just don't remember it. But will we have a dream we remember which will unlock the door to making physical contact?
That is a high probability. It is common in first contact scenarios in many civilizations, including a high probability in yours, that the idea of widespread open contact will be experienced en masse in dreams before it occurs in physical reality.
Very interesting. Will open contact happen on a large scale, visible to everyone, ensuring that no one is left out?
No, because again, there are those who may choose not to experience it. It will happen for those who are willing and open to experience such a thing. So again, the scale of it will happen in phases, will unfold in phases, and those who are open to the vibration will experience certain aspects of it, and this will change over time and broaden over time. But there will be those who are simply unwilling to experience such things, and we have to respect that. Therefore, vibrationally, they will simply not be capable of participating in the experiences that others may be open to experiencing.
And what will be the impact on those with religious beliefs when we establish open contact? Will they resist, or will you assist them in gaining a deeper understanding of Jesus and God?
We will assist where we can, where people are willing and open to receive assistance. Again, there will be a range of responses and reactions based on people's beliefs, be they positive and or negative. And again, This range of responses and reactions will still exist for quite some time as you process what is going on, as you work through things and determine for yourselves which track you ultimately prefer to be on.
And how are you feeling regarding the current UAP issues with the US government? Will we make progress soon for disclosure and contact?
You are making progress. The term soon is relative. But again, progress will be made in a number of different ways, not even necessarily so much by your government, although there will come a time when they understand that there really is no other choice but to reveal what they know, at least to a large degree, because the movements that exist in the public domain will have advanced farther at a certain point than the government's abilities to interact and expose the information that they are aware of. So it will happen as a multifaceted approach from different corners of different public interests and different public activities, and come together at a certain timing, again, through the window over the next decade or so.
And since it's the year one of Countdown to Contact, can you tell us more about the ET races that we could encounter, like Sasani, Pleiadian, Yael?
Again, it is most likely that those most similar to you, such as the Pleiadian civilizations, will be among the first that you will experience when open contact begins in earnest. Hybrid civilizations you will experience. Yael will likely be first because they will be the ones bringing the hybrid children to Earth eventually. My civilization, the Sasani, will not necessarily be first, but we will be in the mix further down the line, as well as other civilizations.
You've mentioned that a lot of ET races use similar ship types. We could, of course, reach out telepathically, but are there also physical differences in the ships we would notice, for example, between the triangular ships Pleiadian, Yael, Sasani use?
Well, again, yes, of course. You have witnessed many different types of ships that have many different kinds of functions, and different civilizations usually have types of ships that are relevant for them. A lot of civilizations will use the saucer-shaped ships. Many will use triangular-shaped ships. There is a kind of exchange that does exist between civilizations of some of the technologies, and so the use of different kinds of ships has become more mixed over time, with different civilizations acquiring the technologies of other civilizations. Many will use the cylindrical mothercraft or city ships because that is a convenient form, although some will also be spherical. But again, you can't always necessarily tell what civilization now because of the mixing of technologies. Though for the most part, Pleiadians will retain the idea of the classic saucer shape as you understand it, and our civilization and many hybrids will retain the general use of triangular ships because that is what is representative of our general technology.
And regarding extraterrestrial writing that some people see on the ship's exterior, when seeing the ships up close, what is that writing for?
The writing exists as a mark for the identification of ships in terms of their function. And it is, in a sense, read as a code vibrationally that is telepathically received by those who are sensitive to it to understand the function of the ship and its nature in terms of how it is telepathically connected to those piloting the ships. It is a kind of a signature vibration that contains a lot of information that others can download, so to speak, to understand the identity of the ship, the function of the ship, the function of the crew, the mission they are on. The writing can even change from time to time.
This person is curious about the energy and frequency where we will have first contact. This person says, I feel like I'm personally ready for that contact with ETs. Can you speak a little more on how we can embody, accelerate, and integrate for first contact?
Follow the formula as precisely as you can, as often as you can, to accelerate your vibration and make you more vibrationally compatible with the idea of contact.
And what are some suggestions for practicing how to change or alter our frequency to match those of entities like yourself? Will it be necessary in order to communicate during first contact?
Follow the formula.
Okay. This person is asking, is it possible for, or probable for some of us to witness humanity becoming an honorary part of the Galactic Alliance? At 21 years old, I'm hopeful that the advancement in technology and healthcare might make it a reality within my lifetime.
Yes, as long as an individual doesn't choose to leave the planet during the time of open contact, those, especially of a younger age, are highly likely to experience the idea of open contact and a relatively large chunk of the full spectrum of contact over time.
Okay. For me, this first contact is not really a science event or a fruition of a science fiction dream. It is a cultural event, sociologic, like in the film Close Encounter of the Third Kind. Can you speak to this?
It is a sociological event, first and foremost, because it will alter your entire society. And you must alter your entire society on your own in order to make yourselves more compatible with the idea of contact. So the idea is it is less scientific, although there will be some technological elements to it, some technological exchange, knowledge exchange, so on and so forth, knowledge given, technological ideas given and shared. But it is first and foremost a sociological event, yes. Your entire society, those that are willing and open, those that are shifting in the direction of open contact, will be very different from your society of today. So the idea is that, yes, primarily it is sociological.
Okay, and the idea of humans organizing for contact. In what shapes or form would you suggest or inspire humans to organize themselves so they can globally have a more joyful and exciting open contact experience?
Some of that type of information will be being delivered in upcoming transmissions that have to do with what we are preparing you for now. As we said, this is Countdown to Contact Year 1, and we will begin to make certain suggestions for actions and behavioral changes in members of your society that have to do with what we are terming the Interstellar Alliance sociological experiment. And it will be delivered to you in a variety of steps over time in the upcoming year. So some of those suggestions will be forthcoming in the upcoming transmissions.
You've recommended putting up a picture of an alien in our windows. I've had little children, and in speaking to them about contact, I'm not sure they're ready to see an alien in the window. Do you have other suggestions for the little ones?
Depending upon their age, your children are already exposed to many representations of ETs and other kinds of beings in their programming on television and in movies. You can simply be creative and imaginative and choose representations that you deem to be, shall we say, cuter than average, so that children can relate to them, and use those instead.
Okay, and when contact is made, what reactions do you anticipate from us?
Again, there will be a range of responses and reactions depending upon belief systems, willingness to be open or not to the idea that you are not alone. Willingness to be open to the idea of the kind of changes that would have to occur within you as individuals and within all of you as a society. So again, there will be a range of reactions and responses, and this is what we anticipate will occur at first.
And what qualities make us the best candidates for open contact?
Love, peace, creativity, imagination, and a willingness to be your true selves, a willingness to raise your vibration, a willingness to expand your consciousness, a willingness to connect to all that is in a variety of ways.
And could you tell me more about the sanctuaries you speak of? You mentioned people will be led to them by synchronicity. Could someone like myself prepare a space or the sanctuaries and set them aside? Can I be put on the list?
Again, people will be creating these sanctuaries through synchronistic opportunities, whether you yourself are involved in the creation of one or simply allowing synchronicity to lead you eventually to those that have been created by humans on your planet. It doesn't really matter. It is up to you to follow your passion as to whether or not you are actually finding a space and creating a sanctuary or being open to being attracted to a sanctuary once they